Alright, in today's video I'm going to give my 2020 Beach Ball Classic preview. The Beach Ball Classic is the best Christmas high school basketball tournament happening this season. And yeah, I'm going to give my preview of it. A lot of great teams, a lot of good prospects in the tournament this year. Yeah, it's PLB Basketball News, back with another video. Leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and yeah. This year, the Beach Ball Classic is going to have a ton of different teams, like 24 different teams, 16 in the Beach Ball Classic, and 16 in the new prep team bracket, the Winter Jam bracket. They've got 8 teams in that bracket, and the schedule and stuff has already been announced for these. The 8 teams are John Marshall is the first team from Virginia, High School of Louisville from Texas, Baltimore Panthers from Maryland, Real Salt Lake Academy from Utah, West Oaks Academy from Florida, Blue Ridge, Virginia, Combine Academy, North Carolina, and Winston Salem Christian, North Carolina. All these teams are really good, going off the records and all the stuff like that. So yeah, for John Marshall, they have Roosevelt Wheeler on their team, a top 100 prospect in the class of 2021. And they're a really good team. They are going to be team loaded from Virginia, but they're John Marshall because their season in Virginia has not started yet. Some top prospects in the Winter Jam bracket is going to be Matt Bewley from West Oaks, Robert Dillingham from Combine, Kenyante George from High School, Ryan Bewley from West Oaks, Julian Reese from Baltimore Panthers, Roosevelt Wheeler from John Marshall, Malik Brown from Blue Ridge, Patrick Wessler from Combine, and many more top prospects in the 2020 Winter Jam bracket. Now, here are the current records for every Winter Jam bracket team. John Marshall is at 0-0 right now. Their season has not started yet. It will start December 22nd, which is today at the time of filming this video. And you'll probably see it today. You're probably going to see it today. High School of Louisville from Texas, they're 8-2 right now. Baltimore Panthers from Maryland are 7-0 right now. Real Salt Lake Academy from Utah is 10-1. West Oaks from Florida is 6-3. Blue Ridge is 8-0, and Combined is 10-0. So a lot of good teams, as you can see by the records. It's really hard to rank all these teams. I thought Real Salt Lake Academy was going to be the worst one, but apparently they're pretty good considering they're coming in at 10-1. You could ask who's the competition at the start of the season, because usually the not good competition starts at the start of the season. But these teams have played some very good competition. So yeah, those are the current records. We're going to get into the schedule at the end of this video. Now let's get into that actual Beach Ball Classic. This year is the 40th anniversary for the Beach Ball Classic, and there's a ton of great teams and many future NBA players this year in the Beach Ball Classic. So let's go ahead and go over the 16 teams, their current records, and yeah. First team for the 2020 Beach Ball Classic is Calvary Christian from Florida, Cannon School from North Carolina, Camden from South Carolina, Cape Fear Academy from North Carolina, Cape Fear Christian from North Carolina, Carolina Forest from South Carolina, Gray Collegiate Academy from South Carolina, Greensboro Day from North Carolina, Lake Norman Christian from North Carolina, Milton from Georgia, Moeller from Ohio, Socastee from South Carolina, Myrtle Beach from South Carolina, North Myrtle Beach from South Carolina, Oak Ridge from Florida, and St. James from South Carolina. Some top prospects in the 2020 Beach Ball Classic consist of Mikey Williams, one of the top sophomores for Lake Norman Christian, Bruce Thornton, Milton, Logan Duncombe, Moeller, Greg Glenn, Calvary Christian, Michael James, Oak Ridge, Cannon Carlisle, Milton, and many more top prospects in the 2020 Beach Ball Classic. Here are the current records as of December 22nd, 2020. Oak Ridge from Florida is at 7-0. Greensboro Day is at 8-1. Cape Fear is at 5-2. Milton at 7-2. Calvary Christian at 5-2. Moeller at 4-1. Lake Norman Christian at 6-3. Socastee at 4-1. Myrtle Beach 2-4. Carolina Forest 5-1. Camden 4-0. Cannon School 10-2, Cape Fear Christian 9-1, Gray Collegiate 7-2, North Myrtle Beach 1-1, and St. James at 4-3. There's really not a favorite to win the Beach Ball Classic this year. There's a lot of different good teams, so it's all up in the air who wins. I don't think there's a favorite right now. I think any team could come out and win it. Now let's get into the schedule. Game 1 it'll start December 22nd. So Game 1 is Cape Fear, St. James. Game 2 is Greensboro Day, Carolina Forest. Game 3 is Cape Fear Christian versus Gray Collegiate. Next is Lake Norman Christian versus North Myrtle Beach, and Oak Ridge versus Camden. And those are the games for that night. There's still first round matchups on December 28th in case you were wondering. The 27th, there are no Beach Ball Classic games. It is the Winter Jam Bracket, and there will be some good games. Winston-Salem Christian versus John Marshall. Blue Ridge versus West Oaks. Real Salt Lake versus Baltimore Panthers. And High School of Louisville versus Combined Academy. Next, on Monday, December 28th, there's going to be a lot of games. You'll have the losers games and then the winners games. And yeah, you can look at the schedule on their website, beachballclassic.com. Yeah. But December 28th, there's still first round matchups. You've got Cannon from North Carolina versus Calvary Christian, Archbishop Moeller versus Socastee, Milton versus Myrtle Beach. So in these 3 games right there, Milton versus Myrtle Beach, Milton, they're a top 25 team, or at least close, even though they have a very tough schedule in Georgia. Myrtle Beach, that has not played well, and they haven't been playing even the greatest competition either, and they're 2-4. I think Milton probably wins that one. Moeller versus Socastee. Socastee's always kind of the worst team in this because they're just like super. They started the Beach Ball Classic. So Archbishop Moeller will probably win that. Cannon versus Calvary is going to be a very good matchup, I think. And I think either team could come out and win that one, personally. 29th is the Winter Jam Championship. And the 31st is 5th place, 3rd place, and championship game for the actual Beach Ball Classic. Now let's start to preview every Beach Ball Classic team. Oak Ridge from Florida. They have not really. Their games have been blowouts. All their games have been blowouts. They're 7-0 right now, like I said, and they're going to be pretty good. But there's nothing really to preview here, just because they've won all of their games, and they haven't been playing the best teams in Florida, really. Like Calvary Christian has. Their 2 losses that came to top 25 teams. Oak Ridge has won every single one of their games. I do expect them to be good, and I do expect them to probably win that first round matchup versus Camden, but they may not. I don't know. I haven't seen any of these teams play, so yeah. I mean, I'm previewing them from what I've seen from like their schedule, if that makes any sense. And yeah, you get the point. Greensboro Day from North Carolina. They're 8-1 on the season. They've played some pretty good competition. Their one loss came to Cannon from North Carolina, and they've played some pretty good competition to win these 8 games. I expect them to be very competitive. And yeah, Cape Fear from North Carolina. Most of their games have been blowouts as well. They really haven't played a ton of competition so far, but they're 5-2 on the season, and yeah, I think they will be pretty competitive in the Beach Ball Classic. They've blown all the competition that they've played out so far by 20 to 30 points, so they're playing pretty well to start the season. Cape Fear is currently ranked number 13 in North Carolina right now in the North Carolina rankings, so they're definitely pretty good to be number 13. Next is Milton from Georgia. They've played a pretty tough schedule to start the season, and they've lost to some legitimate teams. They were supposed to play Lake Norman Christian, but didn't. I don't know why. I'm not a high school basketball insider, but they didn't. Um, Milton, pretty good. Let's go ahead and look at some of the games they've played so far and just kind of evaluate those. Their first game, they took the L. They lost to Mickey Charon. They're one of the best teams in Georgia. They had Sharif Cooper on their team. Yeah, they had some good players on their team, so that's a tough loss. Their other loss was to Sandy Creek from Georgia. Sandy Creek, they have Jabari Smith, who's ranked number 5 in the 2021 class, on their team, so they're a pretty good team. Grayson from Longville, Georgia, was probably their best win this season. They beat them 75-64, one of the best teams in Georgia. They beat St. Francis in a preseason game, so that's a pretty big win for them too. St. Francis is one of the better teams in Georgia. They were in the Beach Ball Classic last year. They beat Norcross pretty handedly, who I'm pretty sure is one of the better teams in Georgia, by 25. They beat Houston from Tennessee or Texas. It says Tennessee, I think. TN stands for Tennessee, so yeah, it's Tennessee. They beat Denmark from Alpharetta, Georgia, in overtime. So pretty impressive wins. They've had some pretty impressive wins. Like I said, they've played some pretty good competition. So yeah. Next, we've got Calvary Christian from Florida. They come in with a record of 5-2. I think they may play sometime soon, but I think the 22nd's like the last time they're gonna play. So yeah. Let's go ahead and look at their losses and their wins. And yeah. So, their losses have came to IMG from Florida, Mount Verde from Florida, two of the two best ranked teams in all of high school basketball. Mount Verde, they got beat by 20. Big loss, 97-77. And you're probably like, PLB, why are you impressed by a loss? But I'm impressed by this IMG game, 69-62. That's not a beating at all. They were in this game. I really think that shows a lot about their team. And their next game will be in the Beach Ball Classic, in case you were wondering. Most of the other games have been blowouts for them. Yeah, they lost to Mount Verde, they lost to IMG. But those were kind of expected, you've got to admit. Next is Moeller from Ohio. They come in with a record of 4-1. So, Moeller, they lost to Lawrence North. That's their only loss from Indianapolis. They've been playing some pretty good competition to start the season. They blew Walnut Hills out by, it's not really a blowout, but they won by 17 in that game. Then they played Princeton from Cincinnati, and 50-41 win there. It's a pretty good win there. And they played St. Vincent St. Mary, a powerhouse where LeBron James went to high school. They beat them by 9. Lawrence North, they lost to 58-57, and that's a tough loss, very tough loss. But Lawrence North is in the top 25 too, for Max Prep's rankings. Then they won versus Centerfield by a pretty good margin. All right, now Lake Norman Christian. They're 6-3 on the season, so pretty good record, and they played some tough competition. They lost to Oak Hill, one of the better teams in high school basketball. They lost to Sunrise Christian, ranked number 3, 67-89. Northwestern, South Carolina, they're playing a national schedule, it seems like. And they won that game, so pretty good win. They beat IMG Elite, which is pretty much IMG's like JV team, because they're that good. And they play John Marshall tonight, which will be a very good matchup. So yeah, that's Lake Norman Christian's preview. Next is Socastee. Now Socastee, they've been winning some games, but they've not been winning by much. That's the problem. They beat Georgetown, one of the better teams in South Carolina. They were in the one game of the Beach Ball Classic last year, 47-41. They beat Johnsonville, Waccamaw, and they beat Georgetown again. And then they took an L in one game. And they will play in the Beach Ball Classic versus Archbishop Moeller, and probably will lose. I'm just going to be honest, because Socastee, they really haven't been playing too great of competition, even though Georgetown is some okay competition. Myrtle Beach Seahawks. Let's go ahead and talk about them. They come in with a record of 2-4. They lost to Carolina Forest. on November 23rd, 90-65. Carolina Forest is also in the Beach Ball Classic. Big loss there. Obviously pretty handedly. But this Myrtle Beach team is not as good as they were last season, and they weren't even great last season. They lost to Conway. Conway is pretty good. And they played Conway again, won. They beat Darlington once and lost once. So, yeah. And then they lost once again to Carolina Forest with 78-73. Their next game will be versus Milton in the Beach Ball Classic, in case you Myrtle Beach Seahawks fans were wondering. Alright, Carolina Forest. They currently rank 13 in South Carolina and are 4-2 overall. Like I said, they got a big win over Myrtle Beach. And they lost to Conway 56-54. Apparently Conway's pretty good. They beat Myrtle Beach and Carolina Forest. They beat North Myrtle Beach in overtime. They beat Darlington. They beat Myrtle Beach again. And this score has to be entered wrong. It says 67-0. No way. But apparently they lost to Christian Academy of Myrtle Beach. That score is wrong. 67-0 can't be right. I thought they would beat Christian Academy, but apparently not. Christian Academy must be okay. Alright, next is Camden from South Carolina. Camden beat North Central pretty handedly by 28 points. They beat Lugoff Eaglin by 2 times. And they beat Dreher. Competition, question mark. Camden maybe could win a game. I don't know. Next is Cannon School from North Carolina, who come in with a record of 10-2 on the season. They beat Davidson Day by 10. They beat United Faith Christian by a lot. Sorry, I don't know what I was thinking there. They beat them by 6. They got a big win versus Greensboro Day, who's also in the Beach Ball Classic, 70-64. I thought that was a big win for them. They lost to Westminster Catawba Christian, 70-68, who has Jasheem Felton on their team, who's the top prospect in the 2024 class, I'm pretty sure. They beat Gray Collegiate, and they beat Gaston Christian and Concord Academy. And their next game is today versus Gaston Christian, and then tomorrow they play Hickory Grove, in case you were wondering. Next we've got Cape Fear Christian, who comes in with a record of 9-2 on the season. One of their losses came to Word of God Christian Academy, 57-52. So not a big loss, but it's still a loss. Yeah, both of their losses came to Word of God Christian, and then the rest of the games they've won. They're pretty good. Word of God Christian is pretty good though in North Carolina, so yeah. They're ranked 18th in North Carolina right now, so pretty good ranking right there. Gray Collegiate is our next team. They are ranked number 4 in South Carolina right now and come in with a record of 7-2. Beat Orangeburg by 5 in overtime. They beat West Florence pretty handedly by 29 points. Lost to Cannon by 17, tough loss there. They've lost 2 straight. They lost also to Trinity Christian from Fayetteville, North Carolina. Next is North Myrtle Beach, and they have not played a lot of games, so there's nothing to preview. They were on quarantine, and that's why they have not played a lot of games. They lost to Carolina Forest in overtime, and they beat Loris pretty bad. So, yeah, their next game I'm pretty sure is going to be at the Beach Ball Classic. Maybe I'm wrong, but let me make sure. It says that they're supposed to play today and tomorrow, but it doesn't look like that's the case. So, yeah. That's North Myrtle Beach's preview. There's not a lot to preview considering they haven't played a lot of games. But they were ranked number 6 in South Carolina last year, if that tells you anything, and a lot of their players came back from last year, I'm pretty positive. Final Beach Ball Classic team, the St. James Sharks. They beat C.E. Murray. They beat Carver's Bay by 2. Pretty good win there. Carver's Bay is a pretty good team. They beat Georgetown. They beat Carver's Bay again. They lost to Johnsonville twice and Carver's Bay. They were playing Carver's Bay a lot. They haven't played in a while. They're not going to play till the 26th, and their last game was the 15th. So it's been a minute since they played, but that's okay. Now that's my Beach Ball Classic preview. Going over all the games. for these teams. And yeah, let's go ahead and get into the winter jam bracket. John Marshall, nothing to preview. I can't preview games that they haven't played. I can preview their game versus Lake Norman. I think they can beat Lake Norman. That's my personal opinion. I think they can. Now, let's go ahead and get into the actual previews. Okay, so they are 9-2 actually. They must have played last night. So let's go ahead and go over their schedule. They've played a lot of very good teams, so there's a lot to go over here. They lost to Duncanville. Duncanville's a pretty good team, so tough loss there. They're going to play Mount Verde tonight. That's going to be I think they'll probably lose. That's just my thoughts. I think they probably will lose. I don't think they're as good as Mount Verde, but they're still a nationally ranked team. That's a very good matchup. They beat Winmer Prep by quite a bit. They beat Tennessee Prep. They never played St. Mark's, even though they were supposed to. That would have been a pretty good for the Cougars. They lost to Lancaster from Ohio, and that's kind of all you got to preview there. I hope you guys like this style of preview. Yeah. All right, next team's the Baltimore Panthers. They're actually the St. Francis Academy Panthers, but they have to be recognized as a club team because Maryland has not started their season. They won versus Archbishop Bryan. That's a pretty big win. All the other games have been blowouts. They beat Wilson. That's not a blowout. And really all the other games have been blowouts. They're putting up a ton of points a game. They've put up 100 points in 3 of their games, and 99-2 and 88-86. So they're putting up a ton of points. They should be very competitive. Oh, so Combined lost a game. They just last night got beat by Moravian Prep 57-68. Surprising loss there. Didn't think they would lose to Moravian Prep. They play Cape Fear Christian tonight, and then Bull City Prep tomorrow, and then December 27th they play High School of Louisville in the Winter Jam Beach Ball Classic. They beat Moravian Prep by 30 though before. They've played some very good competition. They beat Winston Salem Christian, very good team. They beat Word of God Christian. They beat Dorman. They beat Blithwood. They've played some pretty good competition. And they blew out Dorman and Blithwood, by the way, in case you were wondering. They're currently ranked the best team in North Carolina right now. So, yeah, there's a lot of good competition in North Carolina. So that's a pretty big, that's a pretty good team. Next is Winston-Salem Christian. They come in with a record of 7-3. Let's go ahead and preview them. They lost to Quality Education Academy. They beat Keenan. They beat Liberty Heights. They lost to Moravian Prep and Combined Academy. They beat Liberty Heights, pretty good win there. Beat Bull City Prep, New Faith Christian. They've beat some pretty good teams, and they play IMG tonight. So that's going to be a big matchup for them. That'll be a good game. I would say IMG would win, though. And then the next game after that is at the Winter Jam Beach Ball Classic, John Marshall. Alrighty. Blue Ridge, they're unbeaten. Hargrave Military, I thought they were supposed to be pretty good. Apparently not. They beat them both times. They beat Asheville School, Christ School, and yeah, they've beat some other good teams too. They've played some decent competition. They beat Pensacola Catholic. They're a pretty good team. They're 6-2 on the season, so that's a pretty good team if you ask me. West Oaks has played a ton of different teams, and they've took some L's in the process. But apparently I've got their record totally wrong. I don't know what. Apparently I had a different record than they have. They lost to AZ Compass Prep. Pretty good team from Arizona. I think they're ranked in the top 25 for some of the rankings I've seen. They beat Provlick Prep, which is a pretty big win for them. They lost to BFL Prep pretty badly, 49-70. Pretty bad loss. And we are to the final team that I'm going to preview because there's only 24 teams. 10-1 records. So, Real Salt Lake Academy from Utah. So, they beat Rockwell 89-44, 99-59 win versus Altamont. I don't know any of these teams. Freedom Prep versus them got an absolute whooping, 102-11. That's funny. The loss came to Crimson Cliffs from Washington. They must be pretty good. All the other games for Real Salt Lake has been blowouts, honestly. They've just been blowouts. So that's my preview for every Beach Ball Classic winner jam team. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. If you made it to the end of this video, you had to enjoy something, leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. Thank you for watching.